So, how you doing today, man? Like, can you introduce yourself?
Hey, it's Charles. I'm pretty good. How you doing?
I'm doing pretty good, and so I guess we're here today to talk about like your new album on the way, like thoughts that roam too. So, it's just like a standard interview, like how we roll out. So I was just wondering, like it's been what, like 3 years since like you dropped your last full length. So I was wondering like what's changed for you since then.
Yeah, a lot. A lot's changed. Everything from personal life, me, my process, coming out of college, um, not playing soccer, not coaching soccer, everything. Everything's changed so much. So the music kind of reflects that this time around, for
Yeah,
sure.
because soccer was the original plan, right? Like you were supposed to like tell it.
Yeah, I mean, college, pro, and on. And then tore my ACL uh, around when I dropped Patience, I'd say. And things kind of deviated. I stuck with it for a bit until about Thoughts That Roam,
Yeah,
the first one. That's kind of when it started to change. But now it's like 100% music.
yeah. So like, what about that time like kind of made you realize that music was like your calling, like or at least what you wanted to focus on?
I think music was always that. I just didn't realize it.
Yeah,
I think like a big part of that was it was a part of everything I did. You know, my favorite moments in soccer were before the game with the pre-music, with the pre-game music. My favorite parts with chilling with the friends was like pre-gaming with the music. So
hmm
once I kind of put that in perspective and realized that that was what I enjoyed about a lot of factors of life driving music, it kind of made me realize like, I like these other things, but music's always involved in everything else I do too.
yeah.
Yeah.
Because I always kind of felt that about you when, like, especially like back in high school, when you were always talking about like oh, it's like this is my collective, like only dope music, and it's like oh, it's like like this is what we do. It's like oh, we freestyle at lunch, like oh, we go to like the studio like after school sometimes, and we like lay down some tracks, but it was always kind of just this like it always just had this like kind of like high school like jovial energy, like not to like throw that away as like unserious music, but
Yeah.
it always just seemed like focused on like kinship and like just like friendship. But now it's just real like vigorous like process for you. So I was wondering like why a sequel? Like
Yeah, yeah. I don't. I had because you remember back in the day. I had the projects,
yeah,
and those were there's a lot of. I think that was like a trilogy,
yeah,
and I haven't really touched that since then, which is like when I started rapping. But I felt the subject matter aligned so much with, you know, with what the first one was
yeah,
that I felt like it kind of was a continuation of. So it's kind of like I'm picking up where I left off, but in a different headspace and a different perspective coming into it. So I just felt like a sequel was better than giving it some other title that didn't really reflect the work. And everything on this one is I think it's head music. It's where my headspace is at. It's not too many like I wasn't looking for hits or anything. I was kind of just going for what I felt. So that's why I felt like Thoughts That Roam fit. So make it the second one.
yeah. No, I'm glad you said that because that's really what I thought when I was like getting into the project too. Like it wasn't really on this like oh I'm gonna give you like pop Charles like this is my like song that you're gonna jam to in the car. It's like this is some real like just like headphones music. Like you just gotta sit there and really take it in and just be like yo, it's like where is he at right now? Like let me figure out where he's at so I can see if I can relate to this music and figure out like what's going on.
Yeah.
So it's like on here, one of the things that I really appreciate too, like even though this is still like headphones music, you still get in your like a little like your like bag when it comes to the whole like jumping around and like genre surfing thing.
Yeah.
Cause you got the little like Afro beats type joint with like System Overload, and then you got this like this sort of like 80s like synth driven thing in like Let Me Go. So I'm just wondering like what kind of inspired that.
Adam Zavala and Trizzy Beats. I mean, which is a part of the Only Dopeness collective, but it kind of just was added, energy from sessions we'd have where, we'd link up and just cook up, and these records are from like 2019, so it really was just a buildup of whatever Trey was feeling, whatever I was feeling, and then I'd go home and kind of pick the ones I liked the most and then write to those, So a lot of that was just random, and that's why it sounds kind of random sonically because it was just random energy. But I tried to. One thing I did with Thoughts That Roam, the first one especially, was I tried to focus on transitions and focus on, how the music goes from one track to the next track. And so with this one, it was kind of a challenge too because the goal of it was for everything to sound different. So pulling it together was probably the toughest part, but a lot of that came from just random energy, us sitting there and talking, and Trey putting some random drums on a random sound, and him trying out new genres too. Yeah. That was a big thing because that was the first project he did for me.
Oh, word.
Yeah.
Oh wait, I just want to say, like y'all still like record together? Like I didn't know OD was still a thing.
Well, it's kind of segmented. It's kind of broken up because like. Some people are overseas, they're doing the military, and some people are like in different states and stuff. So it's kind of like, we'll come together maybe once a year, every other year. Then with COVID happening, we really haven't seen each other. But it's still something where it's like, hey, yo, check out, yo, I did this, check this out. So it's still like a support system, a collective, but it's not, it's not like it's not the same, like you said, jovial energy where we're like, sitting around for 6 hours every day, just freestyling and making music, So it's still like feedback driven though.
Yeah.
We definitely try to give each other advice and what we think on each other's music, when we can every once in a while.
Yeah, I feel that. So you said that some of this is from like 2019. Is that the oldest stuff or like?
That's the bulk of it, man.
Yeah.
I didn't. 2 records are from this year.
Yeah.
Three records are from this year.
Yeah, like I think 2D for the outro is from this year.
This year.
That was recorded. That had to be recorded like the last few weeks.
Yeah, that was a more recent one, and it was something I wanted to. I needed a closer.
Yeah.
But then I made the song and was like, I don't want to put this at the end because I don't want nobody to hear it. So.
Yeah, because it's called like 2D for the outro, but it's like stuck in the middle of the album. I thought that was like kind of it was like kind of a like pump fake. I was like, oh, okay, like the outro coming on, but then he like still coming in after that.
Yeah, I felt, and it's funny because a big thing I do is I listen to artists' discographies. So I realized like Drake is an artist who his deepest record usually comes at the end. That's when he feels like he's like bearing everything right at the end, and then throwback artists like Curtis Blow. 9 times out of 10, his outro is like an R&B record.
Yeah.
So for me, I felt like I'd combine the two by kind of making a record that felt like an outro, but putting it early so everybody still has the ability to hear it. Because, people turn stuff off,
Yeah.
They get to the 5th track and they're like, hey, it was cool, I'll come back to it, and they never come back to it.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah. Like that title, like a reference to like the Cold track, right? Like 2D for the intro.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now I just have to check on that. So I was wondering if you had to make, a mood board for this album. Like put together maybe like 4 or 5 things that were just like on your mind, or like they could be like albums, like games, like things you ate, whatever that just like inspired you, like while you were writing this, like what would those 5 things be?
Family, weddings, peers' weddings, sitcoms, like romantic comedies and sitcoms. 9 times out of 10, whenever I make an album, I'm watching a sitcom in particular, and I'm going through the whole series. But for this one, because it took so long, I've watched like 20 sitcoms in the past 2 years. So sitcoms for sure, because there's certain relatability that comes from those shows that I can kind of when I see it, I'm like, oh wow, I relate to that, and then I kind of capture that. Conversations with Trey and Adam for sure, and like something more conceptual, like recovery, like kind of just dealing with what's going on in life, and putting it into music, for sure.
Yeah, I can really like feel that from it. I was wondering if you could talk a little about like that, like kind of like sitcom and like recovery thing, because it's like sitcoms, they don't always seem like they have like these like overarching like narratives, because they just seem so episodic. And like some of the tracks on here seem just like oh, it's like, here's a day where I was thinking about like marriage, or here's a day where I was just like thinking about everything like on Twitter, or like here's a day where I was thinking about like where I messed up in relationships. So I was wondering, like, it's like tell me, like, what's your favorite sitcom you've seen?
Man, I've seen a lot.
Yeah.
Off the top, man, I like the sitcom on Apple TV called Trying.
Yeah.
It's about this couple that's trying to have a kid, and they go about it different ways, which is somewhere I'm not at. So it's kind of ironic, but there's other universal struggles that happen in the show. And then I actually found out about an artist I really like called Maisie Peters. She's like this pop artist who signed Ed Sheeran out of UK, and she does like the soundtrack for like the show, and they're on their second season. So that's really a big show that I've liked in the last year. Modern Love, Love Life with Ann Kendrick. Modern Love is like a show on Amazon where it's just every episode is literally a different cast, different characters. Is different. Every episode doesn't correlate. And then sometimes at the end, they'll wrap it up and make them kind of come together. So that's something else. Those concepts in the shows for making everything kind of like separate, but bringing it together at the end is something I took from the sitcoms. But definitely Trying, Modern Love, and probably Love Life. So a lot of love stuff, yeah.
Yeah, I don't know, that's a like real interesting thing, because I wasn't really like feeling like a lot of like love when like I listened to it. Like it just kind of felt more, it was just more about like community and just realizing like where you're at. And I kind of think that community can community can be love,
Yeah.
Cause like love isn't really like it doesn't always have to be like romantic.
No.
In that sense. Like sometimes love is just like I'll like wake up and I'll be like, I'll just like tell one of my friends like, I love you, bro. Like appreciate you for like being here.
Yeah.
And that's, I don't know, that's a like feeling that I wish could be like expressed like more often, like in people's music. Cause like I was talking with one of my friends recently. We were talking about Stevie Wonder, right?
Yeah.
And like some of his best songs, like they aren't love songs about like partners. They're just like about the feeling, or about like friends or children.
Yeah.
And,
yeah. Universal things that we all can relate to, and that's what makes them so important.
Yeah. And I think that's a quality that really like comes out in your music, just like kind of like everyman like persona, where it's like you're not like rich and famous, you're just like a regular dude. So I was wondering like if that's like a quality you look for in like music you enjoy, or from like other artists you like.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah. I mean, there's some artists that can kind of get away with being the star, or being like, whatever correlates with their persona. But I'm not a fan of personas. I like artists who literally just talk about their lives, and I like artists who write. There's artists that don't write that are great, but I really like artists who write, and I really like artists who talk about their day-to-day.
Yeah.
Because even if I don't relate to it, I respect it, because it gives me some kind of understanding of where they're coming from. There's most of the new artists I like, like Maisie Peters, she's writing about like a lot of stuff that, other pop stars aren't writing about. A guy named Slime Life Shorty.
Yeah.
He's, it's simple in theory, but it's really hard to do when you're stripping it so bare and keeping it simple,
Yeah, I think that's one reason why, like, have you heard Young Thug new album yet?
I haven't heard it yet. No, yeah. I've been meaning to. I think that if you're talking about this like it's not really an album about the day to day, but it's really this like did you like Beautiful Thugger Girls? The one with the guitar on it?
Yeah.
I mean, I respected the approach.
Yeah.
It wasn't, but it's just I don't. Do you play a lot of songs from that? Do you like go back to it, revisit it a lot?
I think it's an okay album. It's not my favorite Thug album, but I think it's good.
He strips it back.
Yeah.
I say that, and I think that was what kind of was like, oh, okay, wow, he's coming to, because he comes from with an artistic approach.
Yeah.
That sometimes it can kind of get a little bit. So when he did that, it's kind of like he simplified it a little bit.
Yeah.
So that's one thing I did like about it.
Yeah. I think like on this album, like compared to So Much Fun, which was kind of like it was like paring back like his eccentricness for like mainstream pop appeal.
Yeah.
Like this album is stripping it back in a like Young Thug Unplugged kind of sense, you know.
Okay.
Like similar to that like Beautiful Thugger Girls approach.
Yeah.
But where this album differs, I think, is that I think his writing on this is like just like a bit more like intricate, where it's like it's not like Young Thug is like inviting you to like inviting you, the listener, to like feel his feelings in the same way that like when you listen to Rod Wave, like you like trying to like be like, oh, I get this song, like I feel this feeling too. It's like when you listen to this is like Young Thug like bearing his soul out, and he's getting like everyone else to do it too. You know, you got like Future on here, you got like I swear I didn't even realize that like Drake and Travis were on here until like I looked at the track list. I was like, wait, that was Drake and Travis?
Yeah, I've been waiting to hear the Drake one.
And it's like it's like real interesting, and it's just like really interesting to me to hear them just like be not like acrobatic and like not trying to be like a like superstar.
Just keeping it simple.
Yeah, they're just like it's like, yo, it's like this is where I'm at right now. This is how I'm feeling. And I felt like that. I feel like that's like something that I think that you would really appreciate, like hearing from like an artist like Thug, who is like known for being like super eccentric and off the walls, but like with him on there, it's just like mad chill.
Yeah.
So I want to ask, you know, a little bit, you know, with you, you've always been like mad appreciative of like the people who work on your music, from like engineers, like producers, like mixers and all that. And I was wondering, you know, like what, like just like, I don't know, like how'd you get like that?
Studying liner notes as a kid, metadata as a kid. I think a big thing about that is too, when you try to do something, and this is all walks of life. When you try to do something and you realize how hard it is, you have a new appreciation for it. So for me, a person who's been, you know, recording myself since 2011, you know, seeing what goes into it from like that next level, it makes you even more appreciative, because you're like, you know, I'm, you know, on this project in particular, I'm working with guys who have Grammys, multiple Grammys, like easy Grammys, you know, or people who have worked with like Tupac and Nas, and, you know, so you're kind of in a space where you have to appreciate that, because they don't have to work with you, you know, they don't need your money. So for me, you know, I do it with people who do stuff for free. I do it with people who are lower, but I always do that because I don't see it often in music, but I really don't see it like that in hip hop, especially. You know, so I love the titles and all musics and all that stuff. I love it.
Yeah, I think that's really interesting. Like, do you remember, like, I don't know, like, what's that album that just like when you heard it, you were just like, yo, I need to know who worked on all of this?
Maybe like Sideline Stories to Take Care. In a more recent sense, I didn't really study the liner notes for like popular albums I'd buy as a kid that I liked. I kind of did it when I started making music, and I think maybe a shift in that was kind of looking at the music part a little bit deeper, and a book like Jay-Z's Decoded kind of maybe opened me up to like kind of looking on the other side and seeing what goes into making the music, you know. But the documentaries too, like Fade to Black, stuff like that, you see the producers and the engineers in there, and 9 times out of 10 you see the engineer and nobody's like giving him like a name tag credit or nothing. It's kind of like he's just in the room in the cut. So you're like, who is that guy? And how can I connect with him at least or something? Yeah,
because it's really like a real like understated part of like music. Like people don't think about how. They just don't think about like how something sounds. It's like, because like I remember like you will always talk about like the like watery kind of sound that Drake has like throughout the 2010s, and how it's like real like murky.
Yeah.
and that like really reminds me of like Maxwell's like sophomore album, like Embria.
Wow. Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
it's like that album. It's just like that album just sounds like it's like underwater. Like,
Yeah. No. Yeah.
and it's like it's like because I was thinking about that like. I don't know. I actually just like made that connection right now, just like thinking about it. But now I'm like I wonder if like 40 was like thinking of that sound too. But I was wondering, like, like what kind of like sounds or like like kind of environment were you looking for like with your mix?
Oh man, I go different places with it. When I had You're My Favorite done, I went to the with the mixing. We kind of take what we can because everything I'm doing at home. So the vocals aren't always great. I don't know. I do what I can, and so we get the mix out, and really in the master, I dove deep into how I want the impact of the record to be. Yeah. So in particular, I'm blanking on the song, but there was a Third Eye Blind song, which is nothing like You're My Favorite. But I said the way he switches up, the way the engineers switch up the mood of the song, I want You're My Favorite to kind of hit like that when it comes back in because it goes. I've had A&Rs at major labels hear the record one day and be like, this is a good song, and then hear it again and be like, I hate it.
Yeah.
And I'm like, this is the same person giving me two different responses. And he doesn't remember, but this is the same song. The song didn't change. And I think at first I was insulted, but then I grew to love that type of response because it's kind of like you don't know where to put it. And that was the intent of the song because I was listening to music that I didn't know where to put it. Third Eye Blind's a very random band from the 90s that their music sometimes doesn't make sense. Their happy songs are sad and their sad songs are happy. And that's kind of where I like to go with music, where it's you can't predict it. You can't put your finger on it. You don't know how to describe it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's like I know like for you, you've always had trouble like kind of like placing like a like genre on your sound.
Yeah.
So I was wondering like I don't know, it's like do you feel because nowadays we kind of have this thing where like every artist feels like they're like genre fusing, like genre free, just like savants and stuff like that. But it's like with you, I've never like gotten that kind of feeling where it's like because like that's a like marketing thing, Like, that's all like just like nothing. But I was wondering, it's like why have you always had this like genre free like kind of approach?
Because that's how, as a listener, that's my approach. I love hip hop, but I love rock. I love pop punk. I love neo soul. I love, I don't love gospel, but there's some really big gospel records that I love. I try not to put myself in one box, not because I don't want to be a rapper, because I'm a rapper, but I try not to put myself in one box because I don't want to limit myself as a listener. Because I listen back to Patience, and I'm like, I'm glad I didn't blow up then. Because if I blew up then, I'd be Logic. I'd be the Black Logic, and that's not what I want. Because that's not the approach I like. I like a free approach with a respect to what you're touching. You're not gonna see me do pop punk and call myself a pop punk artist like MGK. You're not gonna see me do that because I don't respect that. I love pop punk enough to leave it alone if that's not something I can touch. So that's kind of where it comes from as a listener, loving the music and respecting it and trying to tread light when I touch different influences.
Yeah. So I was wondering, like what have you been listening to lately? Like, I feel like this year has been, like kind of just like wild, like on the charts, cause you got like WizKid who like breaking over for the first time, like the first like top 10 record from like Nigeria. Yeah. Actually, it's like the first like Afrobeats record to hit the Hot 100 in general. Yeah. I'm just wondering like where are you at right now?
Everything. I got some friends who they like that Griselda stuff. You know? I'm not the biggest fan of it. I like the stuff from that time, that they're trying to sound like. But and that's no diss to them. They're older, so they're making the music they like. But so whenever they hit me up with this same question, I'm like, I'm somewhere else, man. Like I said, Maisie Peters is a pop artist. Slime Life Shorty is an Atlanta trap artist. I'm all over the place. But when I'm not listening to new music, I'm going through catalogs. So I got like a list of 100, 150 artists. Yeah. And I'm listening to 20 albums a piece from all of them. I just finished Luther. I was on Curtis Blow the week before. I was on, list of my favorite artists. Any artist you've ever heard me say I like, I've listened to every single album they've ever made. So that's kind of where I'm at. Studying and just enjoying finding new B-side songs I've never heard that I like. Stuff like that.
What's a like B-side you've discovered recently that you're just like enjoying?
By anybody?
By anybody.
Man,
Like, not to put you on the spot with that, because I hate getting that kind of question.
I got so many artists, man. I like truth be told, there's some stuff off of I'll keep it real recent. There's some stuff off of Luther's last album, Dance with My Father. Mm-hmm. He's got some neo soul stuff that I didn't know he went there. You know, the '90s was kind of I liked his '80s stuff, but the 2000s, I noticed that a lot of those artists, Whitney, Michael, Luther, even Anita, they kind of were trying to blend in with that neo soul sound, and I thought he had a couple records on there, that. They're not, the names ain't coming into mind, but it's the second half of the album, and there's like 3 or 4 of them in a row that, like, when I was sitting through the ones where I'm like, okay, he's trying to sound like the 2000s, I get to those and I'm like, oh wow, this is some nice neo soul stuff. So a lot of that, some of those records, anything neo soul I like. So if an older artist is touching it, I'm gonna at least listen. So
and I definitely like understand that. It's always like interesting when like older artists who've kind of been like conservative about like what they think good music is, or like what they think they genre should sound like. Like approach like newer sounds. Because I was reading something about like Anita Baker actually when she was recording Rapture. Mm-hmm. Like this was I think Rapture is 87, I believe, and so she was like. I hate the sound of synthesizers. They're so thin and like tinny. But on that album, like there are synths like all over that album. Like especially on the like title track or like quasi title track. It's like there are synths on that album. And so it's like hearing her like be like hypocritical about that, but it's like on her like that's a like beautiful album.
Yeah.
And she was just like But she was just like, I don't like synths because I love the like big grand sound of pianos, and that's what she grew up on. But it's like hearing like her like coming to approach like neo soul. Is like I would like if she like I think that if I like heard her on that like after reading that quote, I'd be like, wait, it's like you just said that you don't like any of this stuff.
In her defense, I think she was more so speaking to the extreme of it. Yeah, because when you do listen to an artist's catalog. Respectfully, like a Luther Vandross, you realize as he goes into the 90s, the music does sound thinner in a weird way where it's like the voice is amazing, but the music, it's like, oh man, did he change something? And actually that takes me to a point in an artist that's, a legend, one of the best to do it at what they do, Missy Elliott. When you listen to her last project, if you're not checking the liner notes and you're not paying attention, you'll think, okay, maybe Timbaland didn't do anything on this, or maybe Timbaland's on it, some other producers are on it, but Jimmy Douglas, you call him the governor, the president, or something like that, the mixing engineer, one of the best out of the '90s, didn't touch it, and that can make a big difference for an artist. Definitely. So for me, it's those little small intangible things that you switch, and I think when she was saying it, I think she kind of was speaking in a limited frame, but more so speaking on what may happen if we take that instrumentation out, And so, but there's artists who can really make great music with it, but then there's artists who need that live sound. They need it, like Luther, respectfully.
I was actually I was watching Beats Ramen Life, like the Tribe doc earlier this week. Okay. And so I was really thinking about like that moment in like the mid '90s with like Native Tongues, where it's like Beats Ramen Life, like the album came out, and like it's like Fife and like Q-Tip, like they were like kind of splitting apart, and then you have like the Umma like coming out, like Tip get introduced to like JD, and then it's like that's like they think like that's like Tip's thing from then on, and so I was wondering, like that kind of like evolution. Like really affected Tribe in a way that they didn't recover from, but I was wondering like what kind of evolution do you see on this album like from the last one?
More decisiveness, locked in. We locked in on it in terms of intention. There's songs on that didn't make it, that won't make it, that'll never come out because 2 years later I'm listening to it. I'm like, that's not how I talk. So for me. The intent, I've got a real big thing about intention right now. So that mixed with, camaraderie, like you said, community. You hear community in this album because it is. I'm not hitting up everybody for beats. I don't need the guy who's producing for Drake, you know, to come on my stuff. I need somebody who knows what I'm doing, and they can kind of add to it. So a lot of that is me locking in with people and kind of creating a sound. That was the goal. I don't want to sound like anybody else no more. So that's a big difference. Yeah.
Word. Yeah. And I think like one of the funniest songs to me on here was like haha. Like I thought that was like kind of like funny, like talking your shit kind of song.
Yeah.
Cause and it's not in a like cocky way, it's just in a like I'm free like kind of way. Like I was wondering like where you were at when you were like writing that one.
I had some people saying some stuff.
Yeah.
People who are not in my field. So I don't believe in making diss tracks about people who can't respond. So it was a way for me to express myself in a passive way and have fun with it. So it was kind of, when I listen to it, I think of it in a stand-up approach. That's why I call it haha, because it's like it's light. It's you get people, and it kind of takes me back to when Lil Yachty was telling Joe Budden to calm down and why you so serious. It gets me to the point where you can be passionate about something and not be so serious or angry about it at the same time. So that was me being passionate and passive at the same time. So, it was just a track that, and I wanted to put it in there and to switch up the monotony, to kind of bring a different vibe to it, and definitely, but that's a 2-year-old song too. But that's definitely something I wanted to bring in there and just switch it up and do something that people wouldn't predict. They think I'm gonna make a love song, they think I'm gonna make a boom bap. So whatever they think I'm gonna do, I want to switch it up. So that's the result of.
Yeah, word. Yeah, and I guess like on a similar note to that, there's one song on here. I'm not sure if it's that song or if it's too deep for the outro, but it's just like once. But there's like a line on there. It's like you're like blah blah blah. Like no one came to the Rico Nasty show, and I thought, and it's like I don't know. I'm just wondering like how did that like obviously it's like opening up for her, like how did that feel? But also like how does it feel to see like you get like a like big look like that, but it's like you don't like kind of feel the love like radiating from it.
Okay. I think I'll tackle the first question. How was it?
Yeah.
How it was a dope experience, and we were actually talking about it in the car about like you said who'd you say was opening for Jack Harlow?
Mavi.
Yeah, you were saying how that's so off, like like that's, and that's how it was for me going into that situation, and me not really processing that before doing it, but then committing to it and being there and looking out and being like, oh wow, they're about to get a girl running around in dyed hair screaming at them. I'm not giving them that. Yeah. So, kind of like a hope for the best approach, but also an enjoyable approach, because my birthday, I think I just turned 21. The bartender ordered me some Grey Goose. I was a little loose up on stage. So it was like a first time experience. I mean, I'd performed before. I'd opened up before. My first opening gig was like senior year in high school.
Yeah. And
nobody came to that. But that was because like a snowstorm.
Yeah.
So with the Rico one, it was kind of a touchy area because it did feel like a big moment. But the same people who were kicking it with me for my birthday weren't at the show. So years later, it ain't that deep for me, but it's kind of one of those lines where it's like, you'll have people celebrate you in text and hit you up on Snapchat, but won't come and support. So that's kind of where my head was when I was writing that bar, and kind of what it was like doing it, because it's kind of bittersweet because you're looking at it a bunch of strangers.
Yeah.
And or you'll see people you haven't seen in years and they're just there for Rico and they don't even know you're performing. And they're like, oh, wow, like what? And you get people who take you serious but not serious enough to show up. So, that was, because I got a lot of texts that, congratulations. And it's like, where you at? Like, a lot of those.
Yeah. Yeah, I feel like music is like really one of those things where it's like, it's like real, not like obvious when like, I don't know, it's just like you could just like tell when like someone like makes it, and then you're like, oh, like let me be like, I know, bro. It's like let me let folks know I know, bro, like type thing. But I never. It's like strange, because like it's not like malicious, but it always does like feel like kind of slighted. You're like, yo, it's like I've been doing this for how long? It's like I've been sending y'all about music, like type thing.
Yeah. Which is funny because I'm not even that type of person. I've been knowing you for how long? You've worked, you've done some big reviews, interviews. You've done some big stuff.
Yeah.
I don't send you music like this. Is like, I was like, let's set this up. But outside of that, we talk music. We talk what you listen to it. Because I try not to bring the accomplishment into the connection, because I know I know a lot of people who've done a lot of things, pro sports, top charts. But if I'm keeping it as a friendship, I can celebrate you without coming in last minute and jumping on the bandwagon, which I see too. I saw a girl got a photo shoot with Beyonce. Yeah. Then a friend, not a friend, but a girl she also shot for, was like, "Oh yeah, that's my friend," and it's like, yeah. Or she shot for you, which is cool too. But it's like, just compliment the person for their accomplishment. You don't have to attach yourself to that person's accomplishment all the time.
Yeah. I feel that, and it's always been like kind of weird to me, like this, and this is something I've really been thinking about this year too, like, because like as like a writer, I think like it's good for like music journalists to like have like musician friends, just so they like know what's going on, like it's it's like because like this industry is really just like it's just a like big like opaque, just like glass mirror, it's like it's like we see each other, but we don't see like everything that's behind each other, you know? And so it's always been like not like weird, but it's always been interesting to me trying to navigate that space with like being friends with artists and like wanting to see my like artist friends do well and stuff like that. But I can't. It's like I can't like write about my like friend, It's like that's like kind of like dishonest. It's like but it's like you at some point you're just like like what can you really do about that? Because like it's like you can't like say no to everything, but and like some things happen naturally, because like with me and Mavi, it's like we just did the interview, it's like we're not like friends, but we just like interact on Twitter sometimes, like stuff like that. And it's just like you just like kind of grow to like just like have like mutual respect with each other, like within your fields, and just like seeing each other. And I think that's like really interesting, like kind of relationship dynamic that we have, where like we could just like talk about like music and it not be about like oh like can you introduce me to like this person, that person? Like, it's just like life,
Yeah, and I mean that's what, when you get two music heads, like when you love music, sometimes it's not always about the connection. Sometimes it's really just about like what are you listening to? Yeah. Because I think I hit you about that. Maybe like half a year ago or so, and it kind of really was just I'm just looking for new stuff. Like what's hot, because I pay attention, but I try not to pay too much attention because I used to get lost in what was hot. Yeah. And then I start sounding like it. I'm like, yo, nah, man, I can't sound like that. But at the same time, sometimes it's cool to get like, you checking the temperature on the music scene because, these days I don't know where to go. Just like with the block, back in the day, you could go to Two Dope Boys and you were set, man. You knew, you were updated. One click, you saw it all. Now it's kind of like this 50 million playlists, 50 million blogs. People paying to be places, so it's kind of like, I really want to know what's hot sometimes.
Yeah, and it's just all like fractured now. It's like you got like, and that's like every that's something that folks won't really admit. It's like a lot of people won't admit that like music right now is just like so fractured where like everyone is just like a super fan of like one thing. Like you could be a super fan of like Detroit music right now. You could be a super fan of like the like stuff coming out of LA, a super fan of like New York drill, super fan of like Jacksonville, like Baton Rouge,
super
Atlanta.
Niche. Super niche.
You could get like all the way into it and like learn so much about what's going on in the city, just from listening to the music. And I feel like that's like kind of like hard thing to do, like, and I don't know, it's just like real hard to like stand out like sometimes like within all that.
It is especially, and I think North Carolina is an interesting part of it because there's no true identity. Yeah, there was a Stunner for Vegas flow thing,
and that kind of fell off.
It fell off, and it's funny because I was even impressed by the people who were doing it. So I can't do that.
Yeah.
I was like, how they doing that? Even with the punching in, I'm like, my mind don't even work like that. I need to write it out and sit down. And so when there's no identity, you really get lost.
Yeah.
Because you can be yourself all day. And I put it like this. I was heavy on Kyle in like 2012, 2013. People get in my car and they're like, what are you playing? What is this garbage? I'm like, it's Kyle, man. He's dope. It's like, he's not Drake, but he's Kyle. It's cool. And I kind of saw real life, like how quick that can change. Because when he put out I Spy, I had people who was like, this is garbage. Like people close, like real close. Like up in my car, I'm playing their music. And like, turn this off. I Spy comes out, screenshot. It's my favorite song. It's like, you was telling me how they was garbage, but I saw that from this perspective of people from outside the city. So then you put the city or the state on top of that. And so you're local. Whereas if a guy who's mid-tier comes out of New York, he's not local to me.
Yeah.
He might not be a superstar, but he's still like something different.
Yeah.
Whereas a person at the same level could come from my city, and my perspective of them might be a little bit kind of, because like I see that guy at the mall, I see him at the gas station, So for me, that's a big part of it too, getting lost in like scenes that don't have an identity. But it is hard to get. I mean, it's easier to get lost in a scene with an identity too, though, because you just end up sounding like everything.
Yeah. I mean, what kind of identity do you think that like North Carolina could like shape for itself like in rap, or just like the Carolinas in general? Because like I really this was something I was thinking about like real intensively like back then, like when Suge like popped out. I was like yo, like there will not be another DaBaby, because like he left a DaBaby size hole in the wall.
Yeah,
the only person who can go through that is DaBaby, not Stunner, not anyone else. It's like the only people who got through that hole are like Baby and Jetson Made.
Yeah.
And it's like I think like Jetson's sound is like kind of like representative of the Carolinas right now. But I was wondering but that's just like a beat, That's a style of beat. I was wondering what I don't know what kind of music do you see like coming out of the state right now that you like?
It switches, man. I think we go back 15 years ago. We thought everybody was gonna be J. Cole. We thought Little Brother and J. Cole were gonna be the identity of North Carolina. I remember hearing about Luke long before he signed with J. Cole, and I was like, oh, he's kind of got that J. Cole sound. And so a lot of people coming out of North Carolina kind of were doing that. And then when DaBaby and Stunner and them did what they did, they kind of went and branched off there. So I think it's ever changing. Because we're influenced by so many different places. Because we have so many people from so many different places coming here, or being here, we're products of it. It's kind of natural that it's not going to be attached to what is already here, But for me, I know, in particular, I mean, I've done some writing for Fuchsias. I've listened to what's out there. It's either a lot of imitating or a lot of really creative stuff that you can't really even categorize sometimes. You're like, I don't know what that is.
Yeah.
So for me, doing that, there was moments where something was hot and I'm trying to put it on a platform and it's not getting received.
Yeah.
Because it's like, put it like this. We was doing I think top 10 rappers or top 20, something like that. It was some top rappers. And we were making those lists and stuff. And I I'm not the biggest Rhapsody fan, but at the time, I think she had just got a Grammy. It was something she had just done. And when I put the name out, it's like, nah, that's not hot. I'm like, I understand you might not like it, but I'm like, it's a Grammy. Not a lot of rappers coming out of North Carolina with Grammys. So it's kind of like, at this point, really dependent on different subsets and whoever's picking up on it. Because you got the blog space or the internet space. You got the live space, because I know, was it like Bull something? Wasn't there a group out of Durham? Bull?
Young Bull.
The live instrumentation, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, you got them, and I know in high school and coming out of high school, they was getting gigs like often, like people were talking about them heavy.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like in the live realm,
they
really hit.
Yeah.
So it's like I think it really just depends on what the artist is going for, because you got people who can do 1 million views on YouTube and can't do a show.
Yeah.
So I think the sound is really dependent on the time and where you're hearing it. I think that's kind of where it's at for me, at least.
Word. And I kind of just got one last question for you. I was wondering like when it's all said and done, like when you're like in the dirt, like and you can't respond to anything, like what do you want to be remembered as?
I think I heard like Jimi Hendrix or somebody say something similar. Really just a person who did good, you know, not in a broad term, you know, not even really like in a remembered term where it's like eternal, but just somebody who, I'm not really big on leaving marks, but like left a mark in a way that's just positive, you know, not like sappy positive where it's like, you know, you got people like Tupac who had his good and his bad, but for me, the people who at least have some good are, you know, just really important. So something like that, not nothing perfect, but definitely somebody who, you know, you talk to people and they're like, you know, he did this for me, he did that for me, or he was just a good person, he was a stand-up guy. You know, that's kind of like the goal with it. You know, even in the music realm, you know, there's a lot of people who have gone and, you know, especially in today's cancel culture, they're digging them up and, you know, pulling their skeletons out, talking about how horrible person they were, all the bad things they did. So the opposite of that. Really,
Word.
just a good person.
Word, yeah, I feel that.
You know,
like, that's all you can try to.
Yeah. Who made dope music though? You know, timeless music with that. You know?
Yeah.
But definitely a good person first.
Word, yeah, like appreciate your time and like thank you for like sitting down for this and like you got a release date for Thoughts They're Wrong too?
Maybe when this comes out, it'll probably be already out, but it's still kind of pending with it.
Word.
You know, still kind of trying to decide. Yeah.
Word. So yeah, you know, I'ma just like for everyone hearing this, you know, just like be on the lookout for that, or if it's already out, then like make sure you tap in.